Hi guys, so we're just leaving our campsite in Sweden and we are still on our spare tyre, which is a lot longer on it than I really would have liked, but there just hasn't been any opportunity really to change it, in the Arctic Circle, funnily enough. But we are in Sweden now. But as you know, we're in Sweden now, and we're not a million miles from a place that I found on Google which seems to get pretty good recommendations. So, because it's Friday, and we don't want to have the same thing as last week where we had the puncture and there was nowhere at all to change it or to fix it until Monday, this is our last real opportunity. I don't want to go too much further on it. As good as it's been, as robust as it's been, it hasn't lost any pressure whatsoever. It's been fantastic. Every time we've stopped, I've gone and had a little look at it to check that it's still okay, and it has been. So, not for any reactive reasons other than I don't want to go the weekend without having a backup in case we get another puncture. So I thought, let's go and find this place and see if we can get it fixed properly. We're in the hands of the experts. Good news, our friends at DAC are going to replace the tyre and then replace the wheel. So we will be driving back home on a proper tyre. Our man has removed the previous. This is the one that we lost. RIP tyre. You did a good job, but your days are done. So I'll just show you, this is the tyre that I changed. And as you can see, we haven't put any more air in it, so it's done its job really. Hopefully it won't be needed again. Got everything here. Would highly recommend stopping here if you get a puncture in mid to north Sweden. We ride again. Success. We're probably only in there for, 20 minutes, Harry?
Yeah, it wasn't long, was it?
20 minutes. And he replaced the tyre, as you've just seen, but the wheel as well. So we have got a premium high quality tyre now. Just in case you're wondering how much it costs for a tyre to be changed at a small garage in northern Sweden, it costs almost 3 grand, but fortunately that's krona. So 2,875 Swedish krona for that Bridgestone tyre fitted, and that works out at about 214 quid, so can't really argue with that. I think that's a pretty, didn't think it would have been any cheaper than that back home really. So we've got 7 hours and 38 minutes according to Google Maps to get us to Stockholm. See how we get on today. Not necessarily planning on doing the full stint, but we can put a good dint into it and see how close we get. And I've got another light flashing on our warning thing, but we seem to be going along okay. So let's make sure we're giving it every best chance we can. Really needed it. Did you hear that beep? Not sure whether you can hear it, but it's a new notification that we have on the dashboard flashing up, and it's telling us very kindly that the battery is not being charged. So this van, which has now done 189,311 miles, but credit where due, hadn't missed a beat all the way up through the photo. It's just started fighting back a little, and there was a little tickly noise this morning, and I wondered if it might have been the serpentine belt connects the drive of the engine to the alternator and a few other bits and pieces to deliver power around. So because it was making the noise and because we came up with this flashing battery symbol, it sounded like it liked the option. So we just stopped in at a garage, bearing in mind it's Friday afternoon in northern Sweden, and we spoke to our little friends who very kindly tried to give them some money, but they wouldn't take anything. They ran a couple of tests and told me that the alternator itself is kaput. That was his words, not mine. So we've got a kaput alternator, which means the battery isn't being charged as I drive it. I asked him how long it would take for him to replace it. 3 or 4 days was the answer, which isn't really ideal. They were obviously closing for the weekend, they didn't have one in, so there's not much you could do. It wouldn't have arrived until next week. Now we do have a slight potential saving grace here, and it's to do with how the van itself is actually wired. So we have the battery of the van with the alternator charging it as it's driving, connected, but it's directly connected to the leisure battery, which powers the fridge, the lights, the USB ports, and all the other kind of things that we have in the van. When we connect the van to a power source, it's a campsite, it's wherever it may be, we can charge the leisure battery directly through a battery maintainer that we have plugged into the electrics here. So ordinarily the leisure battery is being charged from the alternator when we're driving, but when it's doing this, my real hope is that a fully charged leisure battery will form an equilibrium where the power is forced backwards down that circuit into the battery, into the starter battery of the van. So I explained my theory to the Swedish mechanic, and he shrugged and said it's possible. He also laughed at me and said that we're probably going to conk out somewhere in the middle of the Swedish forest. But I guess we'll find out. So this isn't really the episode we were expecting to make today, but I think I might have to title this one "The Van Fights Back." Currently driving, we make sure I've got no lights on, I've got the blower on, any of the actual electrics of the van itself are off, but it is connected to our leisure battery. We've made sure that the switch is in place. That means that hopefully we will be keeping the battery charged up, pushing back in the direction of the vehicle battery. So we've got 7 hours before we get to Stockholm. Let's hope that there's a garage that's open who have an alternator for a 2009 VW Crafter van in stock, but we're going to try our best and see how we get on, and we'll keep you updated. Question for followers. We've seen loads of sort of 1960s style cars, especially American style cars. Is there a particular reason for this? We've just stopped for a bit of food. Give you an update on the van. First things first, tyre. Fantastic. Battery, slightly less good. However, if you look at our little display here, so it still says 13 volts. So that's the level of the leisure battery. And if the leisure battery and the proper battery are connected, and one is lower than the other, then they should. We've got an idea of where we'd like to get to this evening, which is a marina. If you remember, in the first week and a half of this, we stayed at lots of harbours, a lot of marinas in Sweden, where you could just come and arrive at any time and pay some money, electrical hookup. So hopefully we can do that. We can charge, and in the morning the van's battery will be fully charged, and it doesn't matter that the alternator is kaput, as our friend put it so elegantly. We've just had a really nice pizza actually Calles Pizzeria. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it was really good. But now it's the moment of truth. Everyone is waiting with bated breath, especially Watson. Here we go. What do we think? It's been sat now for about an hour.
Yay!
Boom. Look at that. Absolutely flying. Come and listen to the squeaky noise though. You know what? That actually sounds the best it sounded for about a week and a half. So I think we press on. Monday Dinus. That's what that road sign said. Is this a paper mill? Is it a timber mill? Some kind of mill filled with milliners making their hats. Sitrep on the E4. So good news and bad news. Mainly bad news. Going along, it's still whirring, and when we went to the mechanic I suggested that it was the serpentine belt that might be loose or failing or whatever. Instead, it suggested it was the alternator, and perhaps it was both, because there has just been a pop and a clunk, and a couple of things have happened. So, first thing that's happened is the battery indicator on the dash has come on solidly rather than intermittently flashing like it was before. Second is that our little way of checking whether the alternator was working, which was by looking at the leisure battery readout, well, that has just dropped from 12.8 to 12.1, which suggests that the alternator is definitely not working anymore. And thirdly, we've lost the power steering on the van. So here we go. Here's somewhere I can pull over. Let's pull over at this petrol station and have a look. Naturally, I don't really want to turn the engine off in case we can't restart it. As feared, the belt has, look, put it this way, I'm no mechanic, but the belt ain't there no more. Look under here, see if we can see anything coming down, or whether it's a clean brake. So that's really kiboshed it, really. I can't see evidence of it sort of hanging down or anything, and I can't see it. It doesn't look like it's, I don't know, I'm no mechanic, but it doesn't look like it's caused any obvious damage, but I know there'll be things like the water pump and whatever other electrical things that probably run off it, so we don't want to drive too far. But did you say how far has?
8 minutes.
8 minutes?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if we can make it there without causing any more damage to our poor van. And has that got power?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Come on, van. You can do it. A bit further. Power steering has gone, and we've got 3.5 tons. Ooh, that is that is hard. Straight on here.
Yeah.
So I'm too young to really. I've never driven a car without power steering, let alone a van. It's something that we take for granted. Makes a home. Which way do we reckon?
This way, follow the road. I can see one down there.
Yandy. This looks lovely.
There we go.
Oh, van. Sorry, van. What an ordeal we've put you through. Little camper van. You didn't sign up for this, did you? We're slightly wonky in how we've parked relative to the others. But you know what? We've absolutely fallen on our feet here, all things considered. No idea where we are, but we've got a nice little harbour, nice little marina of some kind. Little church over there. Hoylake, that's where we are. Everywhere I look, I'm encouraged. We've got the E4, which is the main road that at some point we want to get back onto. We've got a harbour, we've got electricity, and best of all, if you look through those trees over there, we have a McDonald's drive-through. Oh, we've got a Lidl. Harry, this is fantastic. So this is what we're dealing with. Hey, Geister. Fydd problem yn happen gyda bra at Swisher par fawjanda nyma. Harno Sands Golf and Glass. Golf and Glass? What is this place? Let's get this app. We've managed to get a code, 1420, make sure you don't steal it from us. And now we must work out, we must work out how to deal with this. I feel like I should be putting this code in here somehow. So here is our 3-prong thing. We're connected. Let's see if that's worked. And that little orange light might not look like much, but to us, that's very good news indeed. You know times are tough when I've got my head torch on. I thought, now that we've parked up, now that we've got the electricity on, now that complete disaster is somewhat at bay, we should just have another look in here, see what's going on. We can see some of the motors and the wheels that formerly had the serpentine belt threaded around them. Now entirely conspicuous by its absence. So I kind of wonder whether our Swedish friend I mean, bearing in mind he is a mechanic and I'm a golf course architect, but I am somewhat minded that the belt was clearly rickety as hell. It was clearly making noise. The alternator must have been working to some degree because it was charging the leisure battery when we were going along. Now the belt has snapped and it's somewhere most likely on the E4, a dozen or so miles behind us. And if we have to replace the belt rather than the alternator, well, that would surely be easier, wouldn't it? But I think, viewers, that is the definition of a tomorrow problem. There's not much we can do right now. We are safe, we are parked up, the van is plugged in, it's charging, even the battery is charging. So it should, in theory, turn on in the morning. Not that we're going to drive it very far until we've got this absolutely sorted. So hopefully there might be a garage here in the morning. If not, tomorrow's video will just be a tour of the marina in this place, the name of which I've already forgotten. But I think you'll probably come back and find out, won't you? See you in the morning.